You are king. You are black and bold. You are untold legacy. You are a different kind of American dream because you are the very foundation that the dream was built on. You are strong. Envied for your resilience. You are black excellence, skin filled with melanin and mind filled with brilliance. You are lover and you are loved. You are friend. You are father. You are brother, protector, provider, and necessary kin. You are loved little boy, somehow grown into feared grown man, body beaten, life taken, but identity never stolen because you are descendants of royalty. With every beat of your heart, know that you have no choice but to be who you are, and you are king.
I'm Dexter Sullivan. I serve as the president of DSC Enterprises and the Black Coalition.
My name is Jahquan Hawkins, husband, father, higher education professional, college success coach, and author.
My name is Antoine Jackson. I'm a nonprofit professional working in the city of Detroit, working to revitalize communities, help with education, and support families as they try to evolve and work themselves through and out of poverty.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Lamonte Bird. I'm a business owner as well as best-selling author of 9 Habits to Become Successful. You can find that on Amazon. In addition to those things, I am a motivational speaker where my profession is where I go to colleges, high schools, middle schools, and just mentor those who need to be mentored and uplifted in life.
What's going on, Detroit and beyond? This is your boy, Pastor David John, lead pastor of the brand new Impact Church. We just launched just a couple weeks ago, so excited to be here.
Being a king is multidimensional. Our ancestors were kings like Mansa Musa, Amenhotep, Shaka Zulu. These were literal kings, but a lot of our ancestry and heritage was stolen from us when we came to this country as African American men. And so whenever I have the privilege of acknowledging one of my brothers, I usually acknowledge the king in him. The Bible declares that we are kings and priests unto God, and that is a reality that we can manifest every day.
To be a king means that you understand your ancestry, that you understand where you come from, and you understand what that means for your life in the present. If you know that you're an heir to a throne, then that comes with a certain expectation, an expectation of greatness in your personal, your spiritual, and your professional life.
What it means to be a king is being an alpha male, to be a king, you're the leader, you're the trendsetter, you're the one who makes things happen. Like every guy is a king. Every guy has the ability to be a king. The king is in us. It's just sometimes we just need to activate the king inside of us and really step into our kingship, as you could call it, just to step into it and really just walk in and just being the leader that you are, being able to really just be able to lead those, be the mentor to those, and to be able to it don't even have to be about leading or mentoring others, but just being yourself, being authentic, the authentic you.
So to be a king, the definition to me is that you are someone who values your legacy. You're someone who values your family. You're someone who values the life and the wealth of other people as well. You want to see the good, not just for yourself, but for others around you.
What it means to be a king. When I think of the word king, I think kingdom, and kingdom being that you rule over a domain. And the scripture that comes to mind, sorry, I'm a preacher, that's where I go with it. Proverbs chapter 16 talks about how the one that can rule his own spirit is greater than the one that can rule a city. So What it means to be a king is to have self-control, to be able to go after something that you set your mind to and have that king-like focus. That's what I think about when it comes to being a king.
Being an African American man in American society in 2020 is a multi-layered experience. It is the reality of the present, the past, and dreams of what could be our future. It is a very complicated reality because as far as we have come, we have so still far to go. And I believe that it is a place of responsibility for us to understand where we have come, to understand our ancestors, and also those that have been the stewards of the struggle, as Mandela called it. It is the essence of our reality every day, waking up different than the status quo. And so being African American is to be a disruptor. It is also to be given the opportunity to make change. And I believe that's an opportunity that we have to take.
Being an African American man means that you're going to be faced with inherent challenges. The deck is sometimes going to be stacked against you, but you already have everything within you to overcome and to persevere despite those inherent challenges in the justice system and otherwise. Being an African American man means that you are an overcomer. It means that you are a leader. It means that you can deal with adversity and still come out smelling like a rose.
Being an African American man living in America today is difficult. It's rather challenging. If you turn on the news, read the newspaper, open up social media, we're consistently seeing African American men brutalized by police, brutalized by other community members, and even making some poor decisions. And so as I think about the challenges that we face as Black men, I'm eager, working even harder to do my part to make sure we can turn some things around.
Being an African American man in America, a Black man in America, first of all, it's hard. Like, you know, when it comes to being intimidated by like your Caucasian folks, white people, or either other races, you know, you stand out. When you're going into restaurants, you know, you may stand out. When you're going into buying shoes from Foot Locker at a mall, you stand out. You know, they may say and categorize you as one thing when you just another brother just trying to buy some shoes or just trying to eat. So being a Black man right now in America, man, is hard. You know, you have to step up to the plate. You have to work harder than others when it comes to other races. And then you have to be comfortable with knowing that other races just going to profile who you are by just judging you and reading the book by its cover rather than opening the book and learning who you are as a person, as a Black man.
Woo, that's a loaded question, man. African American man in America. The chips have been stacked against African Americans. That's not debatable. That's not controversial to say that. I think the controversy comes in terms of my position. I believe that we're also in a position where we can fight back because America is the poster child, the success story of the experiment that we call a democratic republic. There was always going to be an insurrection, an uprising, anytime you have a group of people that are oppressed like African Americans have been. But the fact that our nation survived is a tribute to the foundation. Our uprising, our insurrection didn't destroy the nation like so many other nations in history. Our nation survived, and we're still in a place where just one term ago we had a Black president. That's a tribute to the foundation, the Judeo-Christian values that the country was established on, the strength of the Constitution. So as a Black man in America, I have great confidence in the fabric of our country to be able to come through all of the evil that is also a part of that same fabric.
Being spiritual is critically important because of all of the things that we discussed in terms of the challenges of being an African American man. You have to have coping mechanisms in order to endure all of those challenges and still be functional for your family, for your friends, for your colleagues, and everyone who's relying on you to be great. And so with that being said, what we have to understand first and foremost is that we don't have to take on those challenges alone, that we have a higher power that we can connect to, and that power is within us. It lives within us, and it gives us everything that we need to be successful in life. But we have to tap into that power. We have to have a relationship with in our spiritual life that gives us the wherewithal to endure the challenges that we face as African American men.
Spirituality is innate to the African American man. In our history and our lineage, understanding your spiritual reality as a human being was absolutely foundational to the human experience. And so we are a spirit, we possess a soul, we live in a body. That is our reality. Understanding and being in touch with that spirituality to a place where it becomes resonant power is important, because that's what really gives you that ability to transcend, to overcome, and to survive. And not just a place of survival, but a place of strength.
Well, I believe it is. I believe that we are first spiritual beings and then natural. I don't tell people that I am a living being on a spiritual journey, but I'm a spiritual being on a living journey. And so I believe that being spiritual, being submitted to God is of great importance to us as men, because it teaches us and it gives us the discipline that we need to lead our families, to lead community, and to lead our lives. But even beyond that, as a black man, I think it is my spiritual walk that has prepared me, that embodies me, that emboldens me, not embody, but emboldens me to do what it is that I need to do in the world that I live in today.
I'm probably I'll answer a little differently, because I think if you believe in spirituality, if you believe in spiritual things, then you usually believe in good and evil, which means you can have good spirits and bad spirits. So I think it depends on which spirits you associate yourself with. If you associate yourself with good, then I would say it's important for a person to be spiritual, because you're connected to God, who is a spirit. But you know, it's worse to be deceived than it is to be ignorant. So if you're somebody that believes you're associating with good spirits and you're associating with bad spirits, I'd say that person is in a worse spot than somebody that just doesn't believe at all.
I believe that the first step in overcoming mental illness or coping with mental illness is first understanding that, once again, you are not in that fight alone. We all have challenges that we're trying to grapple with as African Americans, as people who are facing challenges in our adulting, if you will. And I think it's important to understand that you have to ask for assistance. You have to be open to receiving help from someone outside of yourself, because once again, we cannot overcome the challenges that we face as adults, trying to grapple with them alone. I think that's the first step in dealing with any challenge that you face, including mental illness.
Wow. I was just having a conversation with Bakari Sellers not long ago, and we were discussing this reality of mental health and how it is plaguing the Black community, and how we definitely need more mental health advocates. I think the first step is acknowledging that mental health is not something that we should be ashamed of, but it is something that we should take responsibility for, and knowing that each and every person on the face of the planet needs to talk to someone, and that having partners and friends, counselors and therapists to journey with you on that journey of mental health, it is not something to be looked down upon. That is to be celebrated. And I think acknowledging the fact that it is a need, and then also embracing our brothers and our sisters and making sure that they have the resources to have that experience and that journey.
With the African American community, you can overcome mental illness by, one, there's a number of things. You can be, one, going to church. You know, a lot of people will find that by just going to church and just being able to relieve by just like worship or song, praise. Other things you can find is like counseling, therapy, or even just having a best friend or a friend where you can just kick it to them and talk to them. You know, somebody that you know won't judge who you are or judge like your mistakes or whatever it is that you're going through in life. And it can even be just dealing with just being a black man and just always having to be strong, but needing a brother or somebody that you can just lay it all down to and be like, man, this is what I struggle with. So you can either just do a best friend, therapist, counselor, just even going to church.
Yeah, so, you know, mental health, mental illness is a real matter. As we consider the Black community, there remains stigma around mental illness and mental health. And so as we talk about overcoming it, one of the ways I think that we can overcome it is first and foremost is to be honest about it. If it's present in our own lives, we must acknowledge that and go and seek the help that we need. There is no shame or should be no shame to admitting that you struggle with a mental illness or you have a loved one who struggles with a mental illness. There's help available. There's someone that you can reach out to in your community, in your family, in your circle.
Again, a scripture that comes to mind, I think it's Isaiah 26. It says, "Thou will keep me in perfect peace, who, if I have my mind stayed on you, because I trust you." And I think one of the most important things that a person that is struggling mentally can do is trust in God, rely on God. And sometimes that means reaching out for help too. So that doesn't mean just go to church and talk to your pastor or just pray. That might mean actually go and get some help. But I think when we were talking about spirituality, I think having your spirit connected to God's spirit, you have hope, man. You have hope for healing. You have hope for a future. And without that, I don't know what in the world I would do without that connection. So. Stop ego tripping. You know, Black men we understand oppression, so we should be the last people to oppress women. And yet, because oppression, one of the things that it does psychologically is it creates this poor self-image. I think there are a lot of Black men that hold Black women down because we need to be more important than we see ourselves when we look in the mirror. And so just stop ego tripping and allow them to be great, man. Some of the most amazing scientists and inventors and artists, they happen to be women. And I think that it's important to, just as we don't want to be judged by the color of our skin, we shouldn't be judging women because they're women, as if their role as a woman limits them from being excellent in anything that God has called them to do. So yeah, man, get out the way. And if your babe make more than you, then wonderful. She can buy you nicer gifts. Don't trip about that, man. Let her be great.
Wow. Empowering women is a gift. I think that all of us understand that women are empowered today. And so women's power is not in question. But I think the opportunity for us to come alongside and to champion women is one that is unique, because in times past, women were fighting for position. They were fighting for acclaim. Many of them have already garnered that. They've already gained that. And so now we have an opportunity to embrace the strength of their femininity, to embrace their unique power as women, and to celebrate that, and then to also give that legitimate voice in the conversation, the greater human conversation. And as men, I think that we have an innate built-in response where we want to support and we want to uplift women. I think that we need to continue to steward that and make sure that our sons and our boys understand that as well, and that we don't lose the progression that we've made.
I think first and foremost, if we're going to empower our women, we have to protect them. And sometimes protecting them is not just protecting them from other people, but even from our bad decisions. So as Black men, as we become more responsible, more diligent, as we become more present in the lives of our children that we have with women, as we become more present in the lives of our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, we begin to lift up and increase the amount of protection that they have. And then when we continue to do that, we are then covering them and shielding them and we are allowing them to fly. We're allowing them to do what they need to do to be successful, and we're there cheering them on. I believe that as black men, one of the greatest things we could ever do for a black woman is to applaud her when she's living, when she's thriving, when she's succeeding.
It's critically important that as African American men, we are a support system for our women. For centuries, they have supported us in a multitude of ways, and they've really been an example as to what it means to be selfless. And we need to reciprocate that in our daily lives. So what that means is that when the woman in your life, be it your mother, your daughter, your sister, is dealing with a difficult situation, that you are open and available emotionally, physically, and otherwise to be a sounding board, to be a resource, and to walk lockstep with that woman to ensure that whatever that mountain is ultimately becomes a molehill.
As a king, what we need to do to empower our women, just let them lead, let them have their part. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, women in entrepreneurship alone is like vuku, like it's crazy right now. You know, just them taking over in the business world, them taking over, just being in unity and unite with one another. So it's like, I feel like as the black man, like our job is just to lift them and just cover them. Like so many years, the woman had lifted and covered the man and had the man back. And I feel like it is our time to just share that platform and just be able to lift up our women and lift up our sisters and just let them know, like, hey, you're not alone, you're not by yourself. Even though this is your platform, you have me in the background just to be able to hold your arms up or be able to have the shoulder for you to cry on, because life is tough or life is hard, just being the black woman you are.
I think of the analogy on the airplane where you secure your mask before helping the person next to you. I think one thing that we underestimate is the value of education in our community. If you pull yourself up to a point where you're not struggling check to check, you can actually help other people. If you pull yourself up where you actually have the answers to some of the questions that our community is facing, then you can do more. I think it's important to march. I think it's important to volunteer and all those things, but self-improvement is critical, and education is just a huge part of that. So that's one of the things that my mind and my heart is connected with, is making sure that more people in our community have access to quality education, and can continue their education as far as their potential and their capacity will allow.
We need to do all that is in our power to empower our people. You can only give what you have. And I think that each and every one of us owes it to ourselves to do introspection and to do a deep dive inner look to find out what it is that we bring to the table. Because when you understand what is in your hand, then you understand what it is you've been blessed to give to the next generation. And so as kings, we all have been given something, whether it's a talent of 30, 60, or 100, and it is up to us to steward that well and to multiply what we've been given, so that when we leave this earth, we don't leave it worse than we found it, but we leave it better. And that is the responsibility of kings, to steward well.
When it comes to empowering our people, I think that as African American men and as those who consider ourselves kings, if we're going to accept that moniker, then we have to carry ourselves as such, and we have to conduct ourselves in a certain manner and hold ourselves to a certain standard. That means that we are available to our children, that we're available to our partners, and that we are available to our community. That we see a purpose in life beyond ourselves. We see a purpose beyond our own wealth, beyond our own gratification, and that we in our actions should be trying to contribute to the world around us in some positive way. We don't all have to be the figurehead leader. We don't all have to be the individual that everyone turns to and sees as the leader of the race, the leader of our community, but we can lead by example. We can lead through our deeds. We can lead through our service. And I think that we have to understand that regardless of how it's packaged, leadership is the one common denominator that we all should hold as kings.
So as kings, a real king is always concerned about his people. He's concerned about the welfare of his people. And so as a Black king, as a young man, I serve the Most High God, the King of Kings. And so I believe that the greatest way that I can exhibit my dominion is to exercise great leadership, is to show discipline, is to be diligent in the work that I'm doing. And in doing those things, I will then empower my people. I will create opportunities. If entrepreneurship is the path in which I'm taking, utilize that path to help other people. If it's working in the nonprofit industry or the for-profit industry, whatever sector or place we are, we're supposed to use that as a platform, not just to lift ourselves, but to lift others also.
As a king, some ways we can empower our people is just by being an example for one. It's like we really can be an example for one, but also first start within ourselves, because we can't really empower others until we work on ourselves. So first, just work on ourselves and then allow our true self to be able to empower others. Because when we can empower others, our true self and the king that we are and the royalty we are, the Black man or the Black woman, whatever the case may be, when we're in our true self and in our walk and in our purpose, we can be able to empower those to be able to do it as well. Like we can be able to empower those to walk in purpose or to do whatever goal that they have or whatever they want to accomplish, whatever vision they have.
If I could see the 15-year-old version of me, I would say take your time to breathe deep and to experience every experience. Too often, our young men are not aware of the opportunities that they are being given and the substance of that opportunity. And I think we do them a disadvantage when we allow them to be privileged. And I don't mean that we should take privilege away, but I think that that privilege needs to have understanding. And so painting a full picture. A lot of times men don't communicate all around. We communicate linear, we communicate quick, and we don't get into the details. But it is important that we define experiences for our young men and to make sure that they understand the potency of their potential and the moments that they are in. If I had it to do it over, there are some things that I would have paid a little bit more attention to, and I would have wanted someone to help me to appreciate so that I could embrace the fullness of all of those learning moments along the way.
Wow, to see myself at 15. What I would say to my 15-year-old self is that you are a king, that you come from greatness and you should strive for greatness in every single thing that you do. Mediocrity is not an option for you. Prayer is not an option for you. Having a belief system is not an option for you. That your morals and your values you have to hold true to, regardless of how much money you encounter in life, regardless of how many people tell you that you're cute, regardless of how many people tell you that you're amazing. You never lose sight of what makes you who you are, what's core to the individual that you are inside. Because if you do that, all other things shall come to you. All of your desires shall be fulfilled. But you have to first know who you are and who you belong to.
Yeah, I was asked this question some time ago. And if I think about the world today and the world then when I was 15, I'd say the same thing, and that is you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Young Black king, you will make it. You're going to survive, you're going to thrive, and you're going to reach a position and place in your life that you'll be able to reach back and help others pull them forward. And not even just pulling them forward, but pulling them ahead of you. That's the power that you have, but you have to just know that you're going to make it. You will succeed.
She. Ooh, I would tell my 15-year-old self, I would tell myself, I would say it's okay. It's okay if you want to just go out and just try and just fall. It's okay to fall, period. At 15, you're a teenager, you feel like you're too young to do certain things. You're not too young. Like, you're never too young to start investing in stock. You're never too young to start building a savings. You're never too young to start a business. You're never too young to do whatever it is that you want to do as far as goals. Like, there's no age limit to start living your life, period. Like, you can be in high school and live it, man. Like, I was even had like the opportunity in college to be able to go to other colleges and teach on business while I'm a college student just like them. And for that alone, like, I would tell my 15-year-old self to just go out and do it. Like, don't worry about the he say, she say. Don't worry about the haters. Like, whatever goal you want to shoot for it. Like, if you fall, you fall, but know how to pick back up, know how to just do whatever you did right and to fix whatever you did wrong.
I'm only 16 now, so no, I'm just kidding. What would I tell my 15, 16-year-old self? Wake up. I had no idea that time moved as fast as it does. I really thought I had all the time in the world, and I wasted so much time, especially being a musician and a creative. There's so many things that if you don't get after it in your teens and 20s, certain opportunities are just harder to come by when you become 30 and 40 years old and stuff like that. So I would say to teenagers or my teenage self that, dude, you do not have the kind of time that you think you do. You have to pay attention to the clock, because that clock is ticking, and that's not to be discouraged if you pass that point, you know what I mean? But if I was looking my 16-year-old self in the face, I would say, man, the stuff that you think are important right now is so fleeting. Go to school, make sure that you get the grades so you can do whatever you want to do, because there were people waiting in line to give me money because of my singing voice, and yet I was such a knucklehead that I didn't qualify for it when the opportunity came, just because of grades and skipping school and stuff like that. So I would shake myself at 16 and remind myself that you don't have the kind of time you think you do. You got to get after it.